Hey everybody, Nate Carter here with today's Cornerstone Connection Daily Devotional. Today's reading takes us into Matthew 27, and it's a hard one. This is the trial of Jesus and his condemnation to death. I've been a pastor for many years, and it's still hard for me to read this. I've been a Christian for many, many years, and it's still hard for me when I open my Bible and realize that today's reading takes us through Jesus's death. And I think it's supposed to make us feel that way. I think that we are supposed to realize the wrongness of the one pure and sinless person, only one who deserved not to die, to be facing death and to be put to death. We're supposed to experience the unjustness of that, yet at the same time, the justice of God in pouring out his wrath on the pure and spotless Lamb. Now, as we read Matthew 27, I think it's also helpful for us to see ourselves in the story, because we would all love to think that we were the ones who stood by Jesus until the very end, but as it turns out, no one did. And yet, worse than that, we tend to play some of the other characters in the story as well. You know, we're all Judas. We have all betrayed Jesus. In our sin, we have all gone against what Jesus has called for in our lives. We have all acted against God's holiness. We have all walked away from the God who loves us. And so as we see Judas committing this horrible act of betrayal toward Jesus, we can see ourselves in it. And furthermore, we're all Pilate. We have all been the ones who have listened to the crowd instead of listening to the king. We're the ones who have placed the needs or the desires of others, maybe the popularity or the affirmation that we receive from others ahead of what Jesus has called us to do. And then we are all the crowd as well. We are all the ones who have required Jesus to be crucified. We're the ones who have called out to crucify him and to bow to our own whims instead, to release Barabbas instead of releasing Jesus. We've all crucified Jesus because of our sin. And yet, all of these things had to have happened. I don't know if you remember back just a couple of chapters when Jesus is revealing that Judas would be the one to betray him at the Last Supper. And he indicates that all of this must happen, that the Messiah must die. And so even though it's shameful and it makes us hurt as we read these words, and it makes us feel horrible guilt as we put ourselves into the story, we realize that all these things had to happen so that Jesus would end up on the cross, so that the pure and spotless Lamb would shed his blood for us, so that one day we could join Jesus' family forever and live forever with him. It's one of these contradictions, these tensions that's hard to manage in the Bible, but it also reminds us that God can take all things, even the death of a pure and spotless Lamb, even the death of the only perfect man to ever walk this earth, in order to bring about his purposes. God's in the business of redemption, and he turns our evil into his good by the shedding of Jesus' blood. Praise God for what he did for us by giving us Jesus. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time on the Cornerstone Connection.